Today's YouTube kind of covers a little bit of an update on what's going on in retirement. The wolves are doing extremely well. We had a little bit of frustration, I guess would be the best way to put it, from Shadow on Tuesday. The heat and humidity was just overwhelming. He had not really started to shed in the main enclosure, and that may very well have been stress-induced. So when he got into retirement, he was really super warm and certainly having issues with it. On Tuesday, I was watering, put up a sprinkler system for the retired pack, as well as the main pack got their own sprinkler system. And as I was watering, he just came up against the fence and just stood right in front of the hose and just basically let me drench him with water. Once he dried, his undercoat started coming out in sheets, so we started really grooming him and getting him brushed, and really that's something we haven't done in years with Shadow, because every time we'd pay attention to him as a dominant, the subordinates will come over and make him a little bit intimidated and back off. So Shadow's getting more grooming and more care than he has in years as far as work. What you're viewing here is footage of the deer being fed. We do feed them actually on Thursday night. We fed them. The regular pack feeding is on Saturday night. We kept it a little bit frozen, so that again it helps them cool off in this heat. You also notice the feeding of the pack gets the main pack a little excited, or the feeding of the retired wolves got the main pack a little excited. You saw Malik's ears perk up there, but not too much of an interest, so they're become very conditioned to the noise in the main pack. There is still some stimulus, especially when the main pack's running and dominating each other and kind of making a lot of noise, but for the most part the retired pack of Shadow and Malik do have no issues really with the main pack activity. And one thing we did see is that Malik is a little bit food possessive, and we find that kind of interesting. You know, being a loner for 7 months, he pretty much got everything to himself. And now that Shadow's in there, he is able to guard food, and that really doesn't have as much to do with rank order as it is to based on food possession issues in a wolf pack, regardless of your status. If you are on something and you can guard it, you have the right to possess it. That's a carcass feeding behavior, so it enables younger animals or smaller animals or less dominant animals to be able to grab at a piece of carcass and tug, and once they have it, it's theirs. And so that's a natural response. We are kind of keeping an eye on it and making sure that Shadow gets plenty to eat, but Shadow just kind of lays patiently waiting for Malik to get done. And it is something that I think is going to work itself out. I think Shadow is going to get a little more comfortable. Malik manages to tear the head off the deer, and then he takes that off and away from the main carcass, and he doesn't really cache it, he just kind of puts it in the weeds, and then Shadow goes back to the carcass. And what's interesting is you'll see Shadow then, who's on the carcass, even though his tail's a little low, he's not all that confident, he is going to be able to defend it. Another behavior you see here, very common, there's Shadow defending. As you can see, dominance is not a significant issue in retirement. At this point, I think both of these males are just aging. I mean, 10 years old is very old for a wolf, and so their basic needs are met. There's not a lot of conflict going on, not a lot of tension. That's the main important thing that we want to reiterate in the retirement. And I know a lot of people really want to come and see them and stand next to the fence, but the reality is they're old, and they certainly have done their fair share of education for the center, and so we want to give them that time to kind of take a break. So that's retirement. Things are good. In the exhibit pack, we're having issues with heat. Also frogs. Denali here is going to chase a frog or two, and Maya's going to be there to help. One thing we have issues with here, the wolves really don't have tick problems like you would with a dog. They don't have fleas here in northern Minnesota. The mosquitoes don't really get through their hides to make any significant difference. What is a problem are these black biting flies, and they look like a house fly, but they bite. And anyone who's fished in northern Minnesota is probably familiar with the term ankle biters. These flies are easily a problem for wolves. They will bite the tips of the wolves' ears, draw blood on the tips of the wolves' ears, scab them up, and they are a concern for us. We do try to put fly ointment on them, and actually you probably noticed that Shadow Malik's ears look a little coated with stuff. We do try to put fly ointment on them, but it's difficult to get ointment on the entire body. So what we do, we have some all-natural fly repellent that we spray on the ground, and what you're seeing here is them scent rolling in the fly repellent. Now, what you have to note, first of all, is Grizzer is obsessed with scent rolling. Second of all, it's different, and it puts wolves in a different scenario, different relationship. Aiden's a little nervous about it. He doesn't want to roll over on his back and be vulnerable, and so he's a little nervous. That anxiety is picked up as a weakness. Maya comes over and dominates him a little bit, and so that's something that we have to be very mindful of, is not changing the routine or not changing things too much for the pack. That makes, again, a little bit of focus towards Aiden. And Maya and Aiden are getting along really well. As a matter of fact, the observations from the staff here really see Grizzer Denali associative laying together, or associating sleeping together, and Maya and Aiden sleeping together. So again, Maya's just a dominant female, and there's going to be some times when Aiden's the redirected object of her dominance. But for the most part, there are some social alliances that are happening, and it seems to be happening between Maya and Aiden. Again, Grizzer's getting a little bit better. I mentioned logs, the wolf logs at wolf.org last week, that Grizzer was having a little bit of issues. He's coming around a little bit, and we think that he's dealing with the uncertainty of the pack leadership. Again, Grizzer is not a wolf that likes change. He's not a wolf that probably has it in him to move up in rank. And so just waiting to see which of the other two may move up is going to be an interesting thing. Not saying that Grizzer can't, but again, Grizzer has a tendency to want to be... Grizzer doesn't like change, doesn't like conflict, and we saw that when he was... when the Aiden and Denali were brought in as pups, he just did not show any assert any dominance. He, preferred to be social versus being real dominant. So we'll see. We think it's going to take a little while. And also, you notice, like say Aiden, he lets out a squeal before Maya even gets to him. He's learned, been well aware of it. So, but anyway, so that's the situation. Flies, we're battling with them. Any sunny, hot day, we have to deal with fly issues, and so we're trying out a couple of different things. And this, what you're seeing, was donated by Lori Rhodes, and this is an all-natural fly ointment. That's the other thing, is that anything we use has to be natural, because there's scent rolling on it. We don't want to have anything that's toxic that could get in their eyes or cause them problems, but we do want to try to coat their hide. And again, it's not that the flies are biting through their hide. The flies are typically biting their ears. But the problem is that it makes them a little bit crazy, preoccupied. They whirl around and they try to avoid getting bit. And you'll actually see this in this howling clip. Aiden, rather than howling, spends more time worrying about flies, flipping around, trying to bite them and snap at them. And so anything to make them more comfortable is obviously going to be our first priority. So I'll leave you with the howling. That was stimulated by Shadow. Basically, Shadow started howling when Aiden started squealing. Well, again, a little bit of conflict. The pack doesn't immediately respond. You see Grizzer going closest to the fence, Maya and Aiden and Denali kind of in the front area here. Actually, there's Grizzer right there coming out of the bushes. And so that's really been the response. Not an excitable response, but certainly a communication between the packs. And that's what you're going to hear. So, have a good day. Thanks for watching.